Welcome to Scorched Earth, a general mid-month reading for the sign of Libra, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. So, this is going to be shorter than the main reading for the month. If you haven't seen that, I suggest to go back and have a look at it. Because it's just kind of like an energetic check-in. It's just for the last 2 weeks of the month. And to that end, I'm just going to pull 3 cards for your current energy, 3 cards for what's coming towards you, and 3 cards of advice. See if we can't ease the way for you just a little bit. I'll try not to pull any clarifiers, but we'll see how we go, because, you know, sometimes I break my own rules. It's a thing. What else do I have to tell you? Oh, Mercury retrograde. It is nearly upon us. In fact, you might well be watching this, you know, as it's occurring. It's nothing to be afraid of. You know, we're in the shadow period right now, to be honest. It's just an opportunity to tie up loose ends. I mean, that's what the energy's for. And if you really want to, you know, attract new wonderful things into your life, tying up loose ends and getting rid of that old stale energy is the best way to do it. But there's, you know, a few standard precautions that you should take. First off, you know, try not to buy any big items. Don't spend huge amounts of money on things. So, you know, buying a new car, kind of put that off a little bit. Buying a new house, definitely put that off. Don't sign any contracts unless you absolutely have to. And if you absolutely have to, then double check the fine print. Triple check the fine print. Get somebody to take a look over it for you. You know, someone that you trust, because it's worth putting the effort in now. You know, rather than having to deal with something that you overlooked a little bit down the line. And the other thing is, because Mercury rules communication, you can expect it to be a bit difficult for the next few weeks, because, you know, you might open your mouth and you just trip over your words. I mean, that's the thing. Or you might say something and the other person hears something else, right? That communication mismatch is really, really common under the retrograde energy. So be a bit more forgiving and compassionate than usual. If somebody has said something that's kind of put your back up, because they might well be suffering under the retrograde energy as much as you are. And also, you know, expect potentially things that you say to be taken the wrong way, right? There's a general rule, if you don't have to speak, probably a good idea not to be honest. But, you know, like I said, just be mindful of those things, and the retrograde should pass without incident, to be honest. So, anyway, that's quite enough of that. Let's get you some cards. Could I have 3 cards for Libra's current energy, please? Right, 7 of Wands. 2 came out together there. The 5 of Swords and the 3 of Wands. That's interesting. One more. Ace of Wands in reverse. Right. This feels to me a little bit stuck, Libra. I'm not going to lie. We've got the Lovers at the bottom of the deck. That is a major life decision. A conscious life decision, right? This is not what you're going to have for dinner. You know, are we going to have Indian or Chinese takeaway tonight? This is something really, really big. And it feels like it feels like it is something that you maybe don't actually appreciate the significance of just yet. It's kind of like it's here, but you don't see quite how far-ranging it is, right? If that makes sense. Because in your current energy, we have got the 7 of Wands, which is quite a defensive energy. It's a little bit guarded, can be sometimes protective. Then we've got the 5 of Swords, and this has been coming out for everybody today, right? This communication mismatch. And then the 3 of Wands, right? And this Ace of Wands in reverse. This communication mismatch seems to be about how you expand, how you move forwards in some way, right? This is right in the center of your current energy. And it's like there's a desire to expand, but you're not there, right? There's something kind of missing from the recipe right now, right? And maybe it's communication with another person. That's possible. Because this crowd here is kind of staring at that star over there. It kind of wants to go to that star. You want to expand. You want to do things. Maybe you want to travel. Something like that, right? But there's a definite sense of wanting to do something in the 3D, right? Expand out in some way. It's a very active card. But then we've got this energy shift around communication. And maybe this is, you know, not talking to the people that you need to talk to in order to have this happen, you know, for whatever reason. Maybe it's the lockdown is affecting your plans in some way, and it's like you can communicate it, but you can't actually do it at the moment, right? That's possible. But rather than feeling guarded, this actually feels kind of frustrated to me now. Like there's a frustration here. There's a frustration in conversation, and there's a frustration in conversation about the way in which you want to act, the way you want to moving forwards, right? It's kind of like this major life decision is around, it's kind of swirling around in your energy, but it's not quite presented itself yet to the point where you can go, I'm going to go this way or this way, right? And then we've got the Ace of Wands in reverse, and this is kind of like, well, this way around it talks about exciting opportunities that are kind of presenting it to you. Rather than it being a lack of exciting opportunities, I feel like it's kind of a perceived lack. It's a frustration at the perceived lack of opportunities that are here for you, right? This is a tremendously creative and inspired card, right? We're talking about opportunities for new things, new exciting things. Just not there at the moment. And a great deal of frustration surrounding it. So let's have a look and see what's coming towards you for the last 2 weeks of June. What's coming towards Libra, please? One ping down. One more for Libra, please. What's coming towards Libra? Oh, wee, that's good. Okay. Well, the good news is that deadlock's going to break. That frustration that you're feeling, that a certain malaise in your kind of, I'm so frustrated. I want to do something. This is your energy. I'm just like, We've got the Eight of Cups at the bottom of the deck now, right? This is leaving behind things that no longer serve you, yes, but this is emotions here. 8 emotions, right? And this crow's got his back to them. He hasn't flown off yet, but it seems like it's you turning your back on those emotions that you are feeling at the moment of frustration, of stagnancy. I don't know if stagnancy is an emotion, but the emotions connected to your kind of sense of being stuck, right? You're getting over it. You're turning away from it, right? Emotionally. But also in the way that you think as well. And this actually feels quite creative in and of itself, where you're feeling this frustration around the creativity and the action that you want to take. It's almost like the way that you kind of move away from this is actually quite creative in the way that you employ it. We've got the Ace of Wands underneath here, underneath this 8 of Cups, and underneath that we've got Strength, right? Whether you know it or not, and I suspect at this present moment you don't, the new things, the new opportunities, the aces, right, they're all in your energy, they are around there, but the time isn't quite right yet, right? And there's a certain amount of, I don't want to say patience, because I think actually Librans can be exceedingly patient, almost to a fault, actually. And sometimes you mask your equivocation by, you know, presenting it as patience. But the time isn't quite right for it to come in. There's something's had to percolate, something's had to brew first. And maybe it's you, maybe it's the idea, maybe it's the other external circumstances that need to kind of align before this comes in, right? But we've got you turning your back on these negative emotions that you have about your current state. And we have you kind of changing your mind about it as well, right? Moving away from that mode of thinking, right? Recognizing it for how damaging it is, and how actually it's quite possibly the thing that's keeping you stuck in the first place, right? Rather than riding the wave, you've been just kind of like doing a King Canute on the beach and saying, you know, see, get back, right? The seed's here. You just got to kind of bob with it, right? But I don't know why I've got this feeling that there's a creative way that you move around this issue. Now, right in the centre, we've got this Two of Swords. Now, the Two of Swords isn't on the card of a decision. It's not really a surprise to see both the Lovers and the Two of Swords come out here. In fact, the Two of Swords has been coming out for everybody today, and I'm not really a fan of this card, I have to say, because as it's usually depicted, this one's got her back to the water and she's got her back to the moon. Now, I know other people interpret it and say, oh, she's got a decision to make, you know, and she's judging the merits of the decision only on the weight of the swords, and this is a good, sensible way to do it. She's employing logic and all that kind of thing. But I look at it and I'm like, but what about her intuition? What about her feelings and her emotions on the matter? Like that, those are important as well. Like those form a huge part of your ability to make good, reasoned, you know, choices about things. Why would you deprive yourself of that? But this one is kind of more neutral because the crow is not facing the water, neither is it facing away, and actually the moon is not depicted on this card. We've got a crow, he's kind of standing sideways with his feet on the sword, either side, actually probably slightly uncomfortable. More neutral, right? No moon, so no intuition to actually consult in the first place, but kind of mindful of the emotions because they're there to the side, but still blindfolded. I'm going to pull another couple of cards for that because I'm kind of intrigued. Two of Swords. Two of Swords, please. I think you're feeling a little bit conflicted. Because whilst you might let the emotions of the situations go, those negative emotions that you got, you kind of push them to one side and go, oh, yeah, I'm clearly holding myself back here, you know. I am actually propagating this feeling of stuckness that I've got by obsessing about it and change the way that I think about it. And I do feel that there's some sort of creative way that you change the way that you think about it. You really don't understand how powerful you are, Libra. Like, this comes out for you over and over again. It's like you've got this tremendously creative way of thinking, right? You get yourself out of this rut, and then you're still, when the decision finally comes in, because maybe that's what this is, right? This is just the decision arriving. Just as the Lovers was a shadow card, the theme for the entire reading at the bottom of the deck. Here is the decision. Feeling, when it's presented to you, actually relatively minor. Do you remember I said at the beginning, I felt like you weren't quite aware of the significance of the decision when it comes to make it, that you'd kind of make it, but you wouldn't realise how far-reaching it is. This is because in your mind, it kind of feels like that, and you're still kind of equivocating about it ever so slightly, right? Because you're conflicted inside, because you don't realise how powerful you are. Like, Libra, what the fuck? It's nonsense. Ooh. I've got the Wheel of Fortune, right? That's my teaching moment card, right? Whenever I see the Wheel of Fortune, it does imply that the wheel is turning, and it does imply that your fortunes are on the rise because your energy is aligning and all that sort of thing, but because you're fucking learning something. And I feel like the way that you get yourself out of this stuck feeling that you've got, the creative way that you get yourself out of it, is actually part of the lesson as well. But the last part of the lesson is to just shake off that internal conflict, right? That constant feeling that you're not quite good enough for things. I don't know where that comes from with you, but it's time to sack it off because you've got the Magician there and the Wheel of Fortune together. That's really, really powerful, right? Shit is aligning you, and whatever this decision is, it's quite a big one, right? It's quite a big one. You're not going to see that it's a big one until you've already made it, I think. You'll see the far-reaching consequences of this decision that you've made. But we've got the Sun. That's the most positive card in the deck, right? I think that the reason that this decision is presented to you in a lower state, and the universe goes, here's a small decision for you to make, is because if it arrived in its fully formed, enormous state, you'd just be like, no, I'm not making a decision either way about this because it's too much, right? Do you see the steps that you're being guided through here, right? You're frustrated. You think your way creatively out of it. Then you're presented with a small problem. You've still got that kind of self-doubt, inner conflict to deal with. You get on top of it. You make a decision, small decision about something, which has got the Magician and the Wheel of Fortune underpinning it. And then it's the right one. It's a good one, right? And then the full extent of what it is that you've done really starts to dawn on you. Yeah? I think that's tremendously exciting. Tell me about the sun, please. Tell me about the sun. I mean, the chances are it's actually quite a lucrative one for you as well, because we've got the Two of Cups at the bottom of the deck. That's a lot of twos that are coming out for you here, because we've got the Two of Pentacles as well. It could be about working together with somebody else, going into collaboration with another person, right? That's a possibility. We've got the Two of Pentacles. There's you achieving alignment. We like that, you know, as Libra. You absolutely adore that. My Mars is in Libra, you know. Yep. Boom, boom, boom. And this Two of Pentacles, she looks particularly pleased with herself, right? The way she's doing that. But then we've got the Ten of Pentacles, right? Now that's sometimes the inheritance card, but I mean, like, not everybody's going to get an inheritance every time this comes up, right? It's about commitment and stability and security, and sometimes that is financial, yes. Sometimes that can talk about business, yes. Sometimes it can talk about family. Whatever it is, though, it turns out pretty well for you, right? I'd love it if you'd let me know in the comments if this resonates with you, and actually further down the line what the Ten of Pentacles is, what it signifies to you. So I'm going to pull some advice for you. Let's see where we go with this. It looks tremendously positive, Libra. Right? Have a bit of faith in yourself. Hanged Man at the bottom of the deck. Change your perspective. Right? Submit to your own power. With 3 cards of advice, please, for Libra. Cards of advice for Libra, please. Here's the first one, Queen of Wands. Wheel of Fortune's at the bottom of the deck now. 2 more cards of advice for Libra. What's that? 5 of Cups. And the 3 of Cups. The Queen of Wands, she's a bit of an opportunist, yo, right? She's bold and she's dynamic and she's sexy and she's confident and she's all of those things. She's got high self-esteem, right? A queen knows her worth. Now, it doesn't matter if you know, you're male or female or neither or both or whatever. The energy of the Queen of Wands is about having confidence in yourself, right? It's about knowing that when opportunities are presented to you, there's a reason for them being, you know, presented to them, and that's because the universe has faith that this is an opportunity that you can do something with, right? She bounds around. She's got lots and lots of energy, but she's very much in the moment, right? And you're kind of being asked to be a little bit more spontaneous than you usually do, right? Just a little bit, not too much. I don't want to throw you too far out of your comfort zone. There you go. I completely forgot the term there for a second. But just a little bit, right? Be confident. Be a little bit more spontaneous than usual, right? Because it's going to pay off for you really, really well. It's fire energy together. It's really, really good for you. Got the 5 of Cups. Do not spend time worrying. Like, this just feels like worry, right? This is a card that can indicate all sorts of things, but when you're in this energy, right, you don't see anything else. It's kind of asking you to not focus so much on all of the things that you think you are lacking, because frankly, people outside of you, the universe outside of you, sees what you have to offer, right? So when opportunities present, trust that rather than that little niggling voice that says that you're not enough, because you are enough, right? And then we've got the Three of Cups, which is about celebrating. It's about having an emotional support network. There's a victory, like the laurel wreath up there, right? And you usually only see that on the Six of Wands, right? But it's on here as well. It's like people outside of you can actually see better what you have to offer than you can. And so when people say to you, here's an opportunity, here's a thing, or you go to them and you say, I've had this opportunity, I've had this offered to me, like I don't know what to do about it, and they say, fucking take it, like you'd be brilliant at this, like trust them, right? Because this energy is not a good one for making judgments in, right? Rely on those people who are around you, because they will see you right. If you go to them for advice, they will see you right. Trust that. So I'm going to leave it there. There's a link to the extended. I'll stick it in the description box, but it is to the main monthly reading. So you might want to go and watch that first. But I think it all kind of ties in quite nicely. So if not, no shade. I'll leave it there, and I will catch up with you very soon. Take care.